Okay, so today we're going to tackle the AQA GCSE French Foundation Tier Writing Question 1, the photo question. We have to write 4 simple sentences about the photo. Each sentence is worth 2 marks, so the whole exercise is worth 8 marks. It's really important that we get full marks on this straightforward question because 8 marks is a game changer when it comes to grades. In 2018, there were just 3 marks between a grade 4 and a grade 5, and 9 marks between a grade 3 and a grade 4. So it really can have a massive impact if we can get full marks on this section. So often the photo has got people in it, and we can use that to our advantage. I haven't yet seen one on the writing paper that doesn't have people in it. Therefore usually we can start with that. So there are a few verbs that we can use over and over again in our sentences. The first one is c'est, it is, really important, and il y a, there is or there are. Whoops. And not to be confused with ils sont, which is they are. Ils sont, they are, il y a, there is or there are. So make sure you're really careful when using those two. Now this is a bit of an awkward photo for talking about the people, because there are it's not totally clear how many people there are. So usually your first sentence can start with il y a. And by the way, if you forget, if you're in the exam and you go blank and you don't know what there is or there are, do remember it's in the question. What is the on the photo? Qu'est-ce qu'il y a sur la photo? So there's really no excuse for forgetting il y a, because it's right there in front of you. So don't forget to use the questions to help you with the vocab and know what's there in advance. Similarly, the French say on the photo, not in the photo, like we do. So don't be using dans. Copy it from the question, sur la photo, if you want. But there's absolutely no need to do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Il y a. There's absolutely no need to write six. If you write it as a number rather than a French word, then there's no risk of getting it wrong. Numbers are perfectly acceptable in French as well. Il y a 6 personnes. If you wanted to be absolutely watertight, you could say in front of that, you could always put à mon avis. Oops. À mon avis, in my opinion, il y a 6 personnes. Just if there's any doubt there, because as I say, if you look really carefully, there's another head behind the man on the bench. So there's actually at least 7 people in the foreground, and then there's this group of people over here that we can't really make out how many there are. Is there a baby in the pram? We're not sure. So they're potentially, and actually there are a lot more than 6 people in that photo, but no examiner is going to give you not give you the mark if what you've put is not reasonable. But you could always change it if you can't really see clearly, and you know beaucoup de can get you round that problem, lots of, and then you wouldn't need the extra, in my opinion, à mon avis. So il y a beaucoup de personnes. Nobody can argue with that. There are lots of people. Okay, so next question then. The photo's either going to be one of 2 places. It's either going to be outside or it's going to be inside. So if you know a lot of words for different places, like office, school, cafe, restaurant, shop, park, then easy is just to say c'est un parc. It is a park. If you don't know the word for the place, then it's worth learning c'est dehors. It's outside, c'est dehors. If it's inside, c'est dedans. C'est dedans. And you could just learn those two and use one of those. There's nothing wrong with that. But see if you can talk about where the photo is, and then look in the photo and see if there are any other objects that you know the French for. Now you might not know the word for a bench, or a path, or a pram, or a pushchair, but you might know a bike, because we say I go bike riding a lot. So you could therefore say, il y a un vélo. There is a bike. We've used il y a already, but it really doesn't matter. Another thing, if the photo is outside, that you can do is you can talk about the weather. So there are two options for the weather, really. It's either nice weather or it's bad weather. This one can go wrong because we could be influenced by saying it is, as we do in English, it is bad weather, it is good weather. In French, you use il fait for the weather. Il fait, it does. So il fait beau, it's nice weather. It does, beautiful, literally. It's nice weather, the weather's nice. Or, of course, if you don't think the weather is nice, il fait mauvais. The weather's bad, it does bad, literally. It's bad weather. Il fait beau, il fait mauvais. And one of those two sentences will work whichever photo you get, as long as it's outside. If it's not clear, I mean, I think with that photo I'd be inclined to say it's good weather, because they're out. There seems to be the lady with the rucksack might have sunglasses on. This gentleman's wearing short sleeves, as is the chap on the bike, and this one. So lots of short sleeves going on. But if the photo is a little bit less clear, you can always put the à mon avis in front. So à mon avis is worth learning, in my opinion. Now we've already got our 4 sentences, and that's full marks. So I wouldn't use those two, and I wouldn't use that one in this particular sentence. But there are other options. But that's all I need. There are lots of people. It's a park. There is a bike, and it's nice weather. 8 out of 8. Straightforward, simple as that. If you are struggling, for example, if it's inside and you can't talk about the weather, you don't know how to say where the photo is, you can't say that, then other things that people tend to be able to help us with, in terms of predicting what we can say, people are very often going to show their faces, and therefore we can make a judgment about whether or not they are happy, on what expression is on their faces. It's a little bit hard to tell here because the people are quite small, but again, as long as what you write is reasonable and definitely not false, then you will get the mark for it. So we can't really see these people smiling, but the fact that they're out in the sunshine, going for a walk in their leisure time, makes us think that it's probably reasonable that they're happy. So we could add here, option, can't spell. Other options then are, we could say, ils sont. So remember, that was the other one that was worth learning. They are happy. Ils sont. These 3 are really, really important. Ils sont. They are happy. Content. And we put an S on content because there's more than one of them. But if you forgot that, it wouldn't really matter too much, because we'd still understand what you're saying and it wouldn't take the mark off. So they are happy. The other word to learn is triste. And again, we want the S on if these people are happy. I'm going to cross through that because they're not sad. Ils sont tristes, they are sad. But that's another key one to learn. So, content, happy. There is another word, you can use heureux as well, heureux, but that is trickier to spell, and the X changes to an S in the feminine, which makes it a little bit trickier. So content is what I would suggest, and then triste is sad. Oops. So they're really useful. Ils sont contents, ils sont tristes. Of course, if there are people, they're going to be wearing clothes. So have ready some words for different items of clothing, and you should get lucky and find something you can say. Trousers, shorts, t-shirt, shirt, dress, skirt. Those sorts of words are worth revising. And we've got chap there clearly wearing trousers. So another sentence you could say is, oops, it's crossing out already. Il y a, there is, un pantalon, a pair of trousers. Il y a un pantalon. If we know how to say he wears, or he's wearing, il porte, we could use that, but there's no need to. We can do it with il y a. There is a pair of trousers. That's true for that photo. Seems a bit of an odd thing to say, but it doesn't matter. We don't have to be original or creative at all. Other things to bear in mind if you're struggling, and there are people, you could talk about their hair. We can't see the colours of their hair, but if you got desperate, you could kind of think that this man's got white hair or grey hair, and an examiner would let you have that. This lady's clearly got dark, long hair. If we can say something about the style, then that would be good. So something like elle a les cheveux. Elle a les cheveux longs. So if we can talk about the style rather than colour, that's going to be better. She's got long hair. So remember, elle a, she has. And again, you could talk about size of them. So she's clearly shorter than the man she's next to. So we could reasonably say elle est petite. She is short. Elle est petite. It's a perfectly reasonable assumption to make, and if we're talking about her, that's true, and if we're talking about her, then she's a bit shorter than him. So all of these are reasonable things to say about the photo. This is all very much based around people, because as I say, in fact all of the photos I've seen have got people in them. Another one you could do if you're really struggling is you could split up this number one, and you could talk about the different types of people in the photo. We've got men and we've got women. So if you couldn't remember the weather one, you couldn't remember the word for happy, and you were really stuck, you could perhaps split this one into two, and you could say, instead of il y a beaucoup de personnes, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4. There are clearly 4 men there. So you could change that and say il y a 4 hommes. There are 4 men. And then you could have your second sentence as il y a, well, I think there are 3 clearly. 1, 2, 3, because there's one behind the man on the bench. So il y a 3 femmes. So that is another alternative if you want to stretch that out a bit. But I wouldn't do that and then talk about the number of people there are. You should get the mark, but some people might not let you have it if they make a mistake. They ought to, but I think it's just clearer if you only give the one sentence about people, the word people, and then don't split it up. But that's certainly acceptable. So if we just go back to what I had before, that would be my perfect answer. There are lots of people. It is a park. There is a bike. It's fine weather. I hope that helps. Merci beaucoup. Bonne chance.